All right, Bart, this is the video I said I'd put together. This is in response to your question about the popping sound coming from the windows. I have Elenco windows. They've been popping for, I'd be embarrassed to tell you how many years I've been troubleshooting this problem, and I just keep chasing my tail with it. Finally got it figured out. It's 100% cured, and here's what I run into. Your window, you've got a window pane here, which is a dual glass, and your low E component on the inside, and then you've got the aluminum frame, and the only interface that you've got in between these two is this retaining strip. Now, different window companies use different retaining strips. This is the one I have, but my basic theory is that they're all the same. It's not your window that's popping, it's not your frame that's popping, it's the interface between the two. And that's when you get into the expansion and contraction during the warming and cooling of the glass. So what I did is I went around the house and I found this window which has a retaining strip that I can get out. Most of them are too brittle. I can't remove them. For whatever reason, I've got one that I was able to remove, and I'll go ahead and see if I can pull it out here. But anyways, before I do that, let me give you a little... that's exactly the sound I would have, that I would wake up to 100 times every morning. Now, this one's got a little different tone than the one in the bedroom because it's not jammed in there the way as tight. But yeah, I'd hear that all the time. Let me pull this, see if I can pull this strip out of here. Bear with me. Here we go. It takes some work, but this one I was actually able to get out of here. Oh, come on now. There we go. All right. Here's your window pane. My finger is literally at the edge of the glass, and the aluminum frame is beyond that. And literally this strip slides in here, and literally they kind of hammer it in, wedge it in. And I'm sure it's all well and fine when it's brand new and it's pliable and flexible and stuff like that. But over time they get brittle. The sun reacts with them. And most of them, I'd say, I'm guessing 90% or better of these strips, I can't get out of the window without just tearing them up. I mean, they're just too brittle, and there's no way I can remove them. Now, here's what happens. Here's what I did after much troubleshooting. I got a can of silicone spray. Any brand is fine. This is what I've got. And what I did is I took my fingernail and I pulled this back and I stick the sprayer tip back in there. And I just spray a good shot all the way around, all four sides of the window. I noticed about an 80% improvement right off the bat. That popping and cracking would wake me up every single morning. Now I have none. Well, about 80% right off the bat, and I thought I was going to have to go back and retreat and figure out the areas that were still popping and cracking. But I didn't get around to it right away, and I noticed that I was getting less and less popping. And the biggest surprise to me was not that this actually fixed it, but that 20% eventually just went away, and I can't explain why. I don't know if with the expansion and contraction all back and forth, day in and day out, that it eventually allowed that silicone to spray silicone to work its way around. But I'm very, very pleased with the results. Like I say, I don't think it makes a difference what brand of window you have. There is some kind of interface in between the two, and you just gotta scratch your head and figure it out. But like, for example, the glass in my front door, I have one of them fancy front doors, we'll just say that, and it pops and cracks once per night and once per morning, and it's pretty loud. Now that one is a feature glass, And I'm going to use this same method. I haven't done it yet, but it's a totally different style, but I can just tell you there's between that frame and that glass, I'm going to find a way to get some silicone spray in there. And I fully expect that also will get the job done. Again, I think it's just a matter of these things being brittle. At one point in time, they were pliable and things could move in and out. Once the sun, the UV rays and whatnot hits these, it just makes them so brittle. And then they don't want to react, and they don't want to allow that expansion and contraction, and that's when you get the popping sound. Not that it matters, but there's also something called a food grade silicone. I use this. This was fine. Like I say, I think any brand would do just as long as you get it in there, and I think you'll be real happy with the results. I know I am. And I'd be embarrassed to tell you how many years I put up with this problem. Matter of fact, I tore off the siding on the outside of the house because I was convinced that window was shimmed too tight. So I took off the siding on the outside of the house. I ripped up the walls from inside the house in order to get a look in there to see how they had it shimmed. All this craziness. And it turns out that wasn't the case at all. And kind of odd, but yeah, all this popping and cracking. It got to the point where I didn't think I could sell my house just based upon, I would have to disclose that because it was so significant. I couldn't in good faith sell it to somebody. And the bad thing too, it's the master bedroom, so when I have guests come to visit, hey, I gotta hope they're early risers because once that sun comes up, they're gonna be popping and cracking. You know, it sounds just like like your fireplace. Matter of fact, it sounds quite a bit like that sample video that you sent me. So I really think this will work. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. You just got to figure out how to get into that interface depending on what window style you have. Mine are Lenco's and they're terrible. But anyways, hope that helps out for you. Talk to you later.